Hi everyone, welcome to your practice. This is Steven. I've chosen 5 poses to unwind. I can think of many reasons when I would like to do a practice like this. Actually, some of these poses I do almost every day, and it's a great way to just take a little moment of a bit of self-care, a little closing off from this crazy world sometimes out there, and just take a moment to get back to your sort of a more peaceful, grounded state. So we're going to start straight away. You're going to need a block for this one, but if you have a couple of pillows or something else that you can sort of elevate and support your hips later on, that'll be handy. But if you don't have it, it's not a train smash. You'll be able to do this practice just perfectly. First pose is really simple. Cross your left shin in front of the right shin, lengthen the spine a bit, and then just fold it a bit forward until you feel a first stretch at the back of the hips. So we don't have to go super far. We're not even trying to go to our maximum capacity of folding. You might be more upright or you might be a little bit lower. All of these options are fine. And just see if you can get into outer hips a little bit, but in the nicest way possible. So we're just holding for maybe half a minute each side or so. Let's see how we go. It's always a good idea to take a few slower breaths when you're in these poses, because the breath is probably the easiest and the fastest way to reach your nervous system and bring about a calmer state. When you inhale, you can imagine space around the area that we're working with. And as you exhale, maybe you'll feel a bit more room to maneuver. Good, and then slowly lift up. Let's swap sides, so right shin in front of left. Flex the feet a bit, cross the shin down the middle, lengthen the spine, walk a little bit forward. With your hands, you can do whatever you want. You can rest them on the knees, or if you have space in front of you. It's also, if you've got that block or some kind of support, it might also be nice to place it under your forehead. It's a really restful kind of feeling. If your head is supported, you don't have to keep it up. You can relax the neck a little bit more. And then, as we've done before, some slow breaths to tune in, to unwind the hips. That often we're addressing some areas that often get tight after a regular day in our modern lives. It probably involves a little bit too much sitting, a little bit too much screen watching, a little bit too much getting stressed and anxious. Good, and then slowly lift up. Now, this is where you need that support, a block or something similar. Lie down on your back, lift the hips just enough to slide a pillow, a bolster, a rolled up blanket, something, a block underneath it. And then just rest here. This is supported bridge pose. We're looking for the mildest back bend. So we don't want a big stretch. We don't want to be as high as possible. We're just looking to open the chest a little bit, the belly, the front of the hips, while we get a nice grounded, supported experience in the pose. So feel how nice this is. You don't have to effort at keeping the hips up like in a normal bridge pose. You can rest the arms down and the shoulders and the head. And then notice that you're still engaging muscles around the hips, your hamstrings, your belly. Maybe it's not necessary here because you're fully supported. So see if you can get into that feeling of safety, of being held in the pose. One more breath here. Exhale, you can sigh the breath out if you like. Good. And then lift up just enough to remove the block to the sides. And then with the minimal effort, come into child's pose. Nice. Stay nice and low, relax the head down. And then sometimes it might happen that you're a bit tighter in the front of the hips, and the hips are lifting up a little bit more, in which case it might be hard to rest down easily. Now there's a few strategies. The first one is to place a block or a pillow under your hips, so between the heels and the hips. That's one possibility. Or you might need to lift the forehead up a little bit by putting something underneath it. If you have a block, you can also just stack your fists on top of each other, play around, and once you find the way you're most comfortable in the poses, it will be easier to get into this more quickly the second time and all the other times. Hopefully you're doing these poses more than once. This could be a daily little ritual, if you like. Rest the head, rest the upper body over the lower body. It's a nice pose to feel your breath in the rib cage, in the belly. And one more deeper breath here. Let's do it together. Exhale, sigh the breath out. Good. Now we'll go to the wall. So find a little bit of wall space. If you need to move around too much, just pause the video and get into that. And then lift the legs up the wall. Now the easiest, it's not elegant, it's never elegant, but the easiest, you bring the side of your hip against the wall, then you sort of lean a little bit down, and then you swing the legs up. Not too bad. And then try to get the hips as close to the wall as possible. Nice, we'll start with a little twist, and then we'll end up just like this for the end of this practice. So here, bend your knees towards the chest, and then just walk your feet over to the left side on the wall. Nice, you can open the arms wide to the side, like in a T shape. And then just feel there's a bit of support from the wall under your feet. Let the knees rest on top of each other, or kind of close-ish to each other. With the gaze, I prefer to look in the direction of the chest somewhere. You don't have to crank your head back to look at that right hand, like we sometimes do. And then just rest here for a few breaths. Let the upper body, the shoulder blades rest back. One more deeper breath. Exhale, sigh the breath out. Good, walk your feet all the way over to the other sides. So on the right side of the wall. You could spread the arms wide to the side again. And then once you settle in, let the legs relax down. Settle the backs of the shoulders, the back of the head. And even relax your eyes. You might close the eyes if it feels good. Or at the very least, don't let the eyes wander about nervously looking for something to look at. Put your gaze into more of a portrait mode, where you just take in the whole scene around you without focusing or zooming in on one particular thing. Let's take a deeper breath here. Exhale, sigh the breath out. Good, and that leaves us with just about a minute or so in legs up the wall pose, Viparita Karani. If you have a bolster or a pillow nearby, it could be really nice to slide it under the hips so that they're slightly elevated, and then maybe leave a little gap between the pillow and the wall so that your tailbone can sort of sink down into that a little bit more. I forgot to get my pillow ready. The block is a little bit too hard for this, so I'm fine just here. And I hope you are too. Relax the legs fully against the wall. If you feel too much tension in the hamstrings, you can slide a little bit away from the wall so that you increase the angle and you leave a little bit more space. Good, and feel the weight of the legs come down through the hips, through the pelvis. Feel the weighted quality of your upper body and the head resting on the floor. If you have trouble sleeping at night or coming to rest, This is a really good pose for that. And it's also a very restorative inversion, you could say. Inversion where we put the body upside down in some way or another. This is a very mild one to do that. If your legs feel tired after standing on them a long time or sitting down, this is nice to drain the blood out of them a little bit. Of course, there's still blood circulating, but we've reversed the relation to gravity a bit. And then when we come out, it's going to be a fresh blood supply all the way down to the toes. Nice, one more breath here. Exhale, sigh the breath out. Good. You're totally welcome to stay here for as long as you want. Or if it's time to move on to other activities, you can roll out to the sides. You can push up with your hands, come to a comfortable seat, and then bring the hands together in front of the chest. Nice. And say goodbye. Namaste. Thanks for practicing and have a good one.